Arcade Fire are back with a brand new single called Year of the Snake. Arcade Fire are one of those bands that I have just kind of like dipped in and out of for many, many years without really ever going like fully down the obsession route. I think my first exposure to them was possibly, there's a line somewhere, I think it's in the Tenacious D movie, where Jack Black's saying, you know, oh, what, are we going to be almost as good as Arcade Fire, or something like that, which as a young, I don't know, like 14-year-old or so, meant to me that I looked up to Arcade Fire as, you know, kind of like, well, if Jack Black likes them, then clearly they're good. And I think maybe a couple of years after that, just as I was heading into university, is when I found out about the album Suburbs, and that album slaps. There are several very, very good songs in there, but there's one in particular, Sprawl 2, which will probably stay in my top, maybe top 50 songs ever, which I know it doesn't sound like a huge compliment, but it is a very good piece of music, and I have listened to quite a lot of music over the years. But Suburbs 2, Mountains Beyond Mountains, do yourself a favor, if you haven't heard that song, just go and listen to it. It just invokes these like amazing kind of retro, I don't know, frustrated, kind of like need to be creative feelings in it. I don't, that song's a masterpiece. And then not long after that, they had Everything Now when that came out, and I like that song. And then I kind of just forgot about them, if I'm perfectly honest. Occasionally Everything Now would pop on or something like that, and I'd be like, yeah, this song's pretty good. And I didn't realize up until just doing a bit of research for this video that Win Butler, as a couple of years ago, got accused of some pretty not great stuff. And I think, you know, they must have taken a little bit of a back pedal. You know, certain other bands, I seem to think Beck maybe pulled out of being on a show with them out of support, etc, etc. I don't know really anything about them, so I don't really have a strong opinion, but either way, it seems like whatever he's being accused of is not so egregious that they're just gonna pack it in and he's like completely cancelled, even though I'm sure that is what some people would rather. But hey, we are here to listen to the music, so yeah, Year of the Snake. I think the album's gonna come out May this year, and it's gonna be called Pink Elephant. I wonder if that's some sort of homage to Jack White or White Stripes' White Elephant. I think it's unlikely, but there you go. So anyway, let's have a listen and see what 2025's version of Arcade Fire sounds like with Year of the Snake. I know it's very silly and a very, very easy comparison, but the intro reminds me a little bit of Rolling in the Deep. My favourite song obviously being Sprawl 2. I really like it when she sings. It feels like she does less singing than perhaps she should. I don't know. She seems to be like the less prominent one, so she's got a great voice. It's very emotional, so I'm glad to hear her getting an intro in at least. It's an interesting yeah, kind of like rhythmic emphasis. It's very offbeat. It's like the emphasis is on like beat 3 of the bar or something like that, with the sort of like heavier kick drum coming in with a very, very muted, quite kind of building up. Almost makes you think of some of the earlier No and the Whale, something like that. I'm liking the sort of like vibe. It's again got this kind of like slightly wistful feel to it so far, and I haven't quite figured out how I feel about the music video so far. If that's actually what I'm looking at right now, the man with the little handheld windy up style camera, that's kind of cool. But I was getting sort of shades of those 360 cameras that's just cropped up everywhere, which I'm finding a little bit exhausting. Wow, the sort of ethereal guitar in the background is really not what I was expecting. It's almost like a little bit dissonant, especially with that offbeat emphasis coming in there. But I'll tell you what, when those two sing together, even with the very, like, it's so quiet, you can hear he's barely singing at the bottom of his voice. But the combination of the two of them is really nice. They're both very breathy, but again, it just adds a lot of emotion to it. I'm not gonna lie, those sunglasses have been totally ruined by the Terrifier 2. Forever now. I will never see people with sunflower sunglasses and not think of Art of the Crown going... before he murders people. Anyway... Okay, so the emphasis has definitely gone back onto the 2 and the 4 of the beat now, and the bass is starting to pick up just a little bit. I feel like everything is starting to sort of hype itself up just that little bit more, which is nice. I'm really hoping this song ends with some sort of explosion of sound and where they really let both of those things, but specifically her, kind of really unchain their voices.
I made a clean break and try something new.
That was interesting. Him just talking like almost completely in a normal voice then, just in the background, but mixed very quietly again. It's quite a contrast to how people were singing at the very bottom of their voices and to have what sounds like him almost shouting you from across the room. It emphasizes that phrase nicely though.
I fly my Eurostar. I picked up a new scar. I tried to be good, but I'm a real boy. My heart's full of love. It's not made out of wood.
It's a very interesting way for him to take over what seems like he's sort of like starting to take over the lead vocal line in here a little bit. And they started off with him doing this sort of like breathy harmony, and then he sort of sings at his normal rate at the exact same time that she's doing that, and then slowly she fades out from being the predominant voice, and he's now singing in this sort of like more normal register. I will admit, don't think I've ever really heard a lead line kind of come in that way before.
So do what's true, don't do what you should. It's a season of change, and if you feel strange,
Ooh, okay.
it's probably good.
Right, the building up there is very, very nice. That's the synth line coming in the background there. Still quite muted and in the pan, but it's really setting you up for that. Then you have the dropout section for, 2 beats or whatever it is, where you're possibly expecting it to be more of an explosion. But again, they tease it, they bring it back in. I'm guessing we're going to get another verse, and then maybe the next time they pull this, the chorus is going to come out, and it's going to really, hopefully, blow my ears off. I am finding the video direction for this video just like a little bit irritating. There's a lot of like image stabilization to follow subjects around, and I'm pretty sure they're using some of those 3D cameras at some point. It's a little bit wearisome after a while, I'm not gonna lie. Are definitely becoming like more conversational and kind of like impassioned as it's going, whilst the backing is actually still remaining fairly muted.
Let the fire blaze, let the light change, let the heavenly body fall out of phase. It's a new age, don't do what you should.
I think it's nice that she is starting to really, she's lost the breathy aspect of her vocals now, and she's like really falling into the same thing. The way those vocals, like they sort of diverge whenever they're doing split harmonies, it's very nice. You can tell these guys have clearly written with each other for a long time. They're very comfortable sort of like noodling around with each other's voices.
It's a season of change, and if you feel strange, it's probably good.
interesting. I'm still sort of expecting like a slightly more dramatic explosion of sound, and I can't tell whether it's actually going to happen now, whether or not the sort of like constant muted thing is actually going to be this song's like kind of hook that you're always quite sort of expecting it to explode out, but it's just going to have this more wistful, more muted vibe the entire way through, which might end up working really nicely in the context of the full album. We'll have to see. What I was waiting for. It looks like it's not going to last for all that long within the context of the song, but like a kind of big kind of hype wall of sound kind of feel. This video is giving me a headache. But I do quite like the kind of like, it's again, it almost feels kind of like it's not quite gonna pay itself off, but I feel like that in itself is kind of part of the point of this song. But I really like this kind of like slightly I don't know, scattered heavier guitar line that came in there for like half a second in that chorus. It was nice. Mixing up the songs. Okay, nice ending as well. I really like the way that ended. It kind of came so abruptly out of nowhere, which had this, I don't know, it's almost like the feeling of waking up from a dream almost, on the offbeat. I think it's halfway through the last chorus even in terms of like original structure following its way through. So that was a nice way to kind of nip it off. I'm, again, really curious to hear what that song sounds like in the context of the full album, because I can imagine, I can really feel this one maybe existing nicely as part of like a longer piece of art. Yeah, I know, that song was good. I wasn't sure what to expect. It was possibly less engaging than I was expecting it to, but it kind of made up for it with a very subtle handling of, well, both rhythms and just general timbres as well. Like the sort of, you can tell that everything's perfectly tweaked. They're like at that point in their careers now where everyone really, really knows what the f they're doing when it comes to, you know, the subtleties when it comes to deploying their, not just their vocals, but the instrumentation just across the board. So I like that. The subtle aspect of it was all very nice. I think that it could have maybe done with slightly more of an explosion of sound towards the end. The whole film, the whole video, the whole music video, the whole song just kind of felt like it was building up towards something that you kind of got teased with a couple of the like sort of heavier clacks towards the end with that build-up section, especially when the music video kind of sped up in the amount of cuts it was doing. But I don't know whether or not it felt like it was worth the payoff. The music video was like a little bit wankery, you know, look at us, our sort of like hipsters all piling into our VW wagon. We're gonna paint it and dress up like clowns and you know, just live the bohemian lifestyle before we secretly go back to our mansions because we're all really, really rich. It felt like it'd be just a little bit disingenuous, but this is possibly just the inner cynic in me. And I found the editing style just a little bit too much as well. Too many cuts, too many kind of like weird edits. I'm pretty sure they're using those 360 cameras, the image stabilization stuff. I found it's interesting actually because it's quite a retro styly video, but it was using a lot of quite modern film and editing techniques, which I'm not quite sure if that worked for me. But the song itself was good. I'm definitely going to save it. We'll see. I'm going to give it a few more listens. This is going to go one or two ways. Either this song is going to get super stuck in my brain because it's quite an insidious kind of like, I don't know, earworm, or I'm going to find it forgettable and I'll remember that Arcade Fire are a thing again in like, you know, a year's time or whatever. Who knows? But anyway, let me know in the comments because I am not that well versed in Arcade Fire. So real Arcade Fire fans out there, tell me, how does this stack up? Did it live up to your expectations? Do we like modern day Arcade Fire, or do we miss the glory days? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all of that crazy stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.